Hold your breath, okay?
The first time I screamed to be let out, she cried with me. She told me the world had gone to hell. Bombs, riots, infection, fire in the sky. You name it. She said she saved me, that she could keep the anger quiet. Said the safest place was her basement. She didn't say she was a crazy bitch. Her name was Rachel. We met on a dating app. We did the movie and dinner thing, thought we hit it off pretty good, so next move was drinks at her place. Then darkness. I woke up chained to a low steel cot bolted into a concrete basement that smelled like bleach and rust. The concrete walls were bare, and the fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Then there was her fucking voice through an old intercom system. She always added one more line before ending her speeches, almost as if she really believed it.
I did this because I care, Nate. You're safe now.
She did give me food every day, though. The chain only had about 5 feet of slack, so I couldn't reach her from across the room. She'd come in with a tray and slide my food to me, along with a hypodermic needle already primed. Thick amber serum. Of course I told her I wouldn't put this shit in my arm. She cried harder.
If I don't dose you, you will die. Please, trust me.
She told me it was a serum to keep me healthy. I didn't buy it. I'm sure it was to keep me weak. But seeing as she was my meal ticket at the moment, I took the shot. Besides, the chain left me no other choice. The basement had no windows, but she kept the light on when it was day and off at night. She also played radio clips for me. Sirens, emergency broadcasts, automatic gunfire, and distant screams. Said it was happening outside, that I should be grateful she saved me before the worst hit. Every 48 hours, she'd have the needle primed for me to inject again. Each dose chilled my veins, numbing the itch that crawled beneath my skin. I wasn't getting sick from it, and it didn't make me go to sleep. Maybe it was something that calmed my nerves so I wouldn't feel the anxiety and anger that I knew was there. Or maybe it was a placebo, just a really good prop in her psychotic wonderland. But then something crazy happened. I started to think maybe something did happen in the world. Not her version, not entirely, but something, and I just had the bad luck of running into an apocalypse crazy person. I tried keeping the needle and tray at first, and even threw them at her a time or two. When I did that, she'd come back with a gun. I thought she was going to kill me at first. Nope, not that easy, but she did shoot me, and would keep shooting until I tossed everything back to her. They looked like rubber pallets, but I wasn't sure. All I knew is that it hurt like hell. Then one day she came down and she showed me a picture. The city in flames, charred bodies, twisted steel. Said it was yesterday. Weeks later, she slipped up. In the few books and magazines she gave to me, I found the same image in an old National Geographic, dated 1994. That's when I knew for sure. She was lying, because of course she was. I started keeping track, scratched tally marks in the corner of my cot. Lost count around 100. Sometimes she drugged my food. I'd wake up shaved, washed. I once woke up stitched. Lower abdomen, 3 clean lines like surgical marks. I screamed for answers. She only said,
Had to check for symptoms. Just being safe.
She said things were bad outside and people were not themselves. She went on about a new strain that had mutated, and that I was lucky her home was sealed. Then she stopped speaking for a month. Just silence. Food tray would still come, no more syringe though. I think she just put whatever it was right into my food and water. I actually thought maybe she had died at one point, until I heard her singing from upstairs, and that broke something in me. Why does my world have to end because of some psychopath? So I did something awful. I pretended to break, stopped fighting and played the obedient little pet. Sat calmly, smiled, thanked her for saving me and waited. Weeks passed before she began to trust me. One day, she unshackled me for a short walk around the basement. I didn't make my move, not yet. She had been very careful up to this point, and I didn't know what trick she had up her sleeve. On my third circuit around the basement, I saw a bed frame screw and pocketed it. I honed it against concrete for 2 weeks. Then she came down to celebrate our anniversary. She was holding a plate with banana bread and a syringe. Said it's been a year since it happened and she's confident she got the dosage right. That she isolated the cure. I smiled. She walked towards me and I hugged her. Then drove the sharpened screw straight through her carotid. She collapsed trying to recite a protocol I'd never heard.
72 breached. Asset down. Preserve serum.
She bled out while whispering,
You'll see. I really did try to save you.
I climbed out of that basement and busted through the front door. Stepped outside into bright sun and cool wind. I cried until I saw the billboards. They were covered in government warnings. Quarantine zone. Do not cross. Airborne containment level 5. And then I saw the others. Watching me. Soldiers in sealed suits. They leveled rifles at me, and the one in front shouted through a megaphone, "Get down now!" I complied. As soon as my knees hit the pavement, they were on me. Cuffed my hands behind my back, cuffed my ankles, and shoved what looked like a muzzle onto my face. The truck I was thrown into was sterile, cold. I thrashed, but the cuffs bit into my wrists. A gloved hand pressed me down as another jabbed a needle into my neck.
Area 72 cleared. Subject contained. Burn the Rachel asset.
The words made no sense, but the drugs did. In less than 15 seconds, the world turned black. I woke in a white room, strapped to a table, with more of those fluorescent lights humming above me. A voice crackled over a speaker.
Nathaniel Carter, you've been exposed to strain X12. You should be dead. Or worse.
I yanked at the restraints. What the hell is happening? A monitor flickered on. A picture appeared on the screen.
How do you know Rachel?
I said nothing. The screen changed. Security footage. Me, Rachel. A dimly lit restaurant. First date? I spat. I remember. She drugged me.
Sixth date.
The voice corrected. The footage skipped. Rachel's apartment. Me laughing, sipping wine. How the hell did they get this? It was so close and clear you'd think there would have been a tiny cameraman sitting on her lap. Then I remembered. A flash. She wore a small necklace. It has some sort of locket, or what I thought was a locket. There had to have been something in it. Then, my hand started twitching. A glass shattered. My entire body looked like it was shaking. Rachel's face draining of color as she grabbed my chin, tilting my head toward the light. My eyes, pupils dilated, veins black.
You were infected before the sweep happened,
The voice said.
Rachel was part of the biocontainment unit. She was close to a cure, but you were too far gone. Protocol was to terminate.
The screen cut to another clip. Rachel, frantic, loading a syringe. Me, convulsing on her couch. Her whispering.
I can slow it down. I can fix this.
Then, the basement, the chains, the lies, or what I thought were lies.
The rage virus rewires the brain.
The voice continued.
You wouldn't have understood. You would have torn her apart, so she made you forget. Every dose bought you time. Her notes indicated that side effect was some memory loss.
I stared at the ceiling. The memories surged. Rachel's hands steady as she injected me. Her tears when I screamed. The way she'd whisper,
I'm sorry.
not experiments, treatments. A suited figure entered, masked, gloved.
Rachel's last dose is failing. Your blood holds the key to immunity. We have to extract it.
I laughed, a raw, broken sound. You mean dissect me? No answer. The restraints tightened, the figure pulling up a file on screen labeled Strain X12 Classified.
First recorded outbreak, 11 months ago.
The voice said.
Airborne transmission. Incubation period varies. Some turn in hours, others take days. There are only 2 outcomes. You either die or turn. Early symptoms: paranoia, aggression, hyperawareness. Final stage: complete neural degradation. Subjects lose all higher reasoning. except rage.
Images flickered on the screen. Security footage of a city street. People clawing at their own faces. A man tearing into another with his teeth. A woman smashing her head against a wall until her skull caved in.
It rewires the brain,
The scientist continued.
destroys the amygdala first, then the prefrontal cortex. Victims don't just get violent, they lose the ability to recognize anything but threat. Even their own reflection triggers attack response.
I flexed my fingers, testing the restraints. And yet here we are. Just a couple of guys talking, not dying or ripping faces off. A pause. Then,
We too have to take injections, although not as often as you. You see, we knew about this potential outbreak a number of months before it went global. It was isolated at first, a small in the middle of nowhere village near a testing site. This gave us enough time to create a temporary solution. By the time the pandemic was global, it was no longer the same strain. And what we created for ourselves wouldn't have worked on the public anyway. So you see, we are not the same.
I jerked against the straps. If I'm infected and not like you, why am I still alive? He paused for just a second before saying,
Because you're a rare opportunity.
Opportunity?
Live data. We've only ever studied corpses, or subjects too far gone to communicate. But you've been infected for over a year now, and you're still functional.
I barked a laugh. Functional? I was chained in a basement.
And yet you didn't turn.
The voice snapped.
Rachel's injection suppressed the virus. We found her notes, but they're incomplete or out of sync. Dosage formula's half erased. The last syringe broke when she fell after you opened her neck. It was contaminated. It will take months just to reformulate what she did.
I felt regret for what I did, and at the same time I don't know if I could have changed anything. Then, a memory flashed, Rachel mumbling to herself. Sometimes while I ate, and other times I could hear her through the vents.
No, can't write that. Dosage increased by 2. Formula 411. Look back at test 3032.
She was close to a cure.
The voice admitted.
Her last transmission said she'd found a stabilizing agent. Then nothing. Just static.
I realized she knew they were watching. She knew they'd eventually take me. And she made sure they'd never get the cure without her, because the last thing I saw before I left her in that basement was her smashing the syringe. I didn't understand why. Still don't. Why would she not want the cure to come out? He droned on, but I stopped paying attention. A tremor started in my hands, a heat in my veins. How long has it been since my last dose? I'm betting my 48 hours are about to be up. A sharp pain lanced through my temples. My vision blurred, then sharpened, colors too bright. The scent of antiseptic burned like acid. Rachel's voice echoed in my skull.
Trust me.
The scientist, the man, the joke, stepped back.
Monitor vitals. His pupils are dilating.
Too late. I inhaled. The restraints creaked. The last dose was wearing off. And the rage? It felt so good. You wanted live data? I whispered. Then, the first strap snapped. Rachel's final moments. The world was fading. Rachel could feel it. The cold concrete beneath her. The warmth of her own blood pooling around her shoulders. The wet gasp of her lungs fighting for air. Nate stood above her, the jagged, sharp nail in his hand dripping red. His eyes were wild, confused. Free. She didn't blame him. She should have been afraid, but all she felt was grim satisfaction. He'll understand soon. She had believed in the mission once, a top-secret biotech initiative. The science was elegant, airborne nanotech, disguised as a virus, latching onto brainstem receptors. A single signal could turn a subject into a mimic of a predator, in this case, wildlife. She was brought in under what they called the Protection Act, to aid wildlife on the verge of extinction to fight to live. This included dismantling their own instincts and push them to fight off their natural predators. The overarching analysis concluded this would significantly change the trajectory of species from going extinct and help the delicate ecosystems maintain balance. She knew now how naive and dumb she was. At the time, she just wanted to help make advancements towards the future, until she found the files. Civilian exposure, necessary for field data. Termination of immune subjects, mandatory. It was called Project Carnage. Her research was taken and modified to design the perfect soldier, turning men into weapons, a horde into an army. No fear, no hesitation, no morality, just pure, unfiltered violence on command. But it didn't go as planned. The control signals failed. The soldiers didn't obey. They just raged. And the ones who didn't die from the neural overload, they tore the world apart. The worst part? These high-ranking elected officials were still waiting and watching, safe in their underground bunkers. All they wanted was that last piece of the puzzle, control. Once they were able to control the horde, there would be no entity on Earth that could stop them. Nate was her failsafe. Either he would help deliver her cure, or her rage. Her injections were not meant to stop the rage. They were meant to weaponize it. She had thought immunity was the key, and it was. But Rachel had discovered something. Nate wasn't just resistant. He was adapting, and her injections paved the way. And if the rage ever broke through completely, he wouldn't be a mindless drone like the others. He'd be something smarter, something hungry, something they couldn't control. Her vision blurred. Nate was running now. She couldn't speak, couldn't tell him the truth. But it didn't matter. He'd see it soon enough. The cameras, the labs, the men in suits who had orchestrated the end of the world. And when he did, when the last dose wore off, oh, they'd wish they'd never took him. The world went dark. But in her last second, Rachel thought, "Burn it all down, Nate," and smiled. The alarms blared as Nate tore free. The first suit died fast, and the second died screaming. The rage was a living thing now, a wildfire in his skull, burning away the edges of Nate's humanity. Blood dripped from his fists, alarms screamed, bodies littered the hallway. And then, a flicker of clarity. He looked around. This wasn't just some lab. No windows. The walls were too thick, the ceilings too high. He passed a shattered placard on the wall, half lit by emergency lights. Sector B8, classified staff only. Further down, another. Authorized personnel, level 9 clearance required. A bunker. Rachel's voice echoed in his skull.
Please, trust me.
The rage surged. A door hissed open ahead, automatic, leading deeper, toward the heart of it, toward them. Nate bared his teeth. Not a snarl, not anymore. He grinned and ran towards the red flashing lights.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this short psychological thriller. Thanks for listening. And if you like the darker side of storytelling, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Well, until next time.